Hi there, YouTube. I wanted to start this video, series, for lack of a better word. A video series. This is an idea I've had for a little while that I kind of wanted to do. It's me talking about video games. Okay, now that may not sound too exciting for you, but I've watched somebody else's YouTube channel, and I realized, you know what, I just really like hearing people talk about video games, and sometimes I know it's relaxing just to sit and listen to somebody else talk. So this is me talking about video games and or whatever the heck else I feel like talking about. I just asked my wife. She said, yeah, I like listening to you talk too. So she's sitting in the other room listening to me record this. She doesn't want to be part of it. That's fine. Anyway, think of this as a sort of video game talk show. Maybe I'll have a guest sometime if anybody ever wants to get in on these videos with me. But most of the time it's probably just going to be me talking about games. And another thing is, I'm recording these in one shot. If I do any video editing whatsoever, it's to splice in something from a video game or footage of something else entirely. I want to do one-shot video recording, completely candid here. So if I mess up, I'm just going to leave it in there. If I end up sounding like a complete weirdo, I'm sorry, that's just who I am. Okay, so take it or leave it. You know, if you don't want to watch my videos, you don't have to watch my videos. But if you like listening to some guys talk about video games and general nonsense, that's fine. By the way, I have a dog. So if you hear a little rattling or shaking around, this is my dog. He's adorable, but he's not what I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to let him do his own thing. I'm going to be doing my own thing. So let's get down to business. I love going to used shops, not used shops, secondhand stores. That's what I'm thinking of. Goodwill, Stuff, etc., Salvation Army, that type of thing. I love going into shops and looking for the things that nobody else wants. That's where I find a lot of my great game deals. And actually went to a couple tonight and found a couple of small items. Now they're not really great, but seeing as this is my first video and I ended up using up half of my time just talking about what the video is and introducing my dog, I'm just going to spend the other half talking about two things. Now let me get those for you. Both of these items are for the Dreamcast. First is Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge. Now, if you'd played the original Frogger for the, originally the arcade, moved to the Atari 2600, ported on to probably thousands of other game systems, you get the idea of what Frogger is. Get from point A, get to point B, lots of traps in your way, try not to get run over, try not to die. Okay, that's the basic premise of Frogger. I think it was in the 90s, for the PlayStation, maybe the Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, they re-released Frogger, or actually they came out with a new series of Frogger, and it added 3D graphics, and it was still kind of the top-down view perspective, but lots of different worlds to explore. It was more of the action-adventure type of game than just basically the start at the beginning, get to the end, try not to die. But it is still start at the beginning, get to the end, try not to die. Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge. I played this a little bit tonight with my wife, Kelly, and you know, it is actually quite a bit of fun. I was worried that it'd just be a pretty generic game, not much fun at all, but it is actually pretty good. The main story, of course, there's just the regular standard play where you jump in, you kind of do the mazes, I guess you might call them, you know, get through, try not to die. There's also the story mode, which on top of the mazes actually adds a backstory, which the crocodile, I'm assuming that's Swampy in the Swampy's Revenge, he actually kidnaps your baby frogs, and going through the levels, you have to rescue the baby frogs. So it's kind of a silly story just to tie it in, but it's still a pretty fun game. We didn't get very far into it. We did, however, get a chance to play some of the multiplayer, and that's pretty cool. It seems there's 3 different types of multiplayer. First one we tried, which it played a little wonky. The controls didn't seem to be working for us too well. It's actually a Tron Light Cycles type of game where wherever you hop, okay, so we had 2 players at once, wherever you hop, it creates a trail of blocks behind you. And you want to avoid the blocks as you go. So it's kind of a Tron Light Cycle. In another way, it's like multiplayer Snake. You know, the old Snake game. You crawl around, eat the apples, your body gets longer. You try not to crash into yourself. Okay, everybody's played that. I'm assuming everybody knows what I'm talking about. There was also a race game where you start at the bottom of the screen. Now imagine Original Frogger, where you start at the bottom, get to the top. There's a twist on this where it's actually a course that you try to get through, an obstacle course, you know, blocks in your way, maybe alligators, spikes, large rolling boulders, things like that. So it's a 2-player race, try to get to the end. That's pretty fun. And then the last one is essentially just like the Original Frogger, where you're at the bottom, and at the very top of the screen are the little safety holes that you can crawl into at the end, and that's Original Frogger. You're supposed to fill up all 5 slots or all 5 caves, whatever, at the top. So when you're playing 2-player, it's 2 players race to the top, and whoever gets best out of 3, they win. So Kelly and I had a lot of fun playing that, and that is Frogger 2: Swampy's Revenge. By the way, both these things I got at a Stuff Etc. tonight, and I guess I got them half off because they said they were $2.99 a piece, but I ended up getting them for $1.50 a piece. Ended up paying a little over $3 after tax. Great deal. Like I said, it definitely pays off to go to these secondhand stores, which are my favorites to shop at. Second thing I got was Dreamcast Web Browser 2.0. Let me see that a little bit better. I guess the lighting's not terribly wonderful in here. Anyway, I don't know if you can tell, it's actually still sealed in the shrink wrap. So that's what drew my attention to this. I've seen this in other places all the time. Used game specialty stores. And usually they go for about 99 cents a piece. And I've always overlooked them because I thought, you know what? Dreamcast web browser is a dime a dozen. Okay, so there's thousands, maybe millions of these floating around. They're 99 cents. Maybe they cost 50 cents. Maybe that's what they should be going for. Anyway, since this was still sealed in the shrink wrap, that's kind of what pushed me over the edge and decided to buy it. I was willing to pay the $3. It was $1.50. Complete bonus. Anyway, one of my favorite websites, and you might hear me speaking about this later on if I decide to continue the series, is rarityguide.com. I like to go out there, see how much my games are worth if I was to try to sell it on Amazon or eBay, and give me a rough idea of how much I should be able to get out of it. Some things are definitely way overpriced because I've priced my games on there, and then I go into a used game shop, and they might be selling it for $5, $10, $20 cheaper than what Rarity Guide says it's worth. Anyway, for a brand new sealed copy of the Dreamcast web browser 2.0, this should go for about $11. The web browser 3.0, on the other hand, I just looked this up before I started recording, for whatever reason, $77. I don't know why. I'm guessing it was probably towards the end of the Dreamcast life cycle. They only released so many, and it's only in a handful of people. So that's probably why the price skyrocketed. The Dreamcast web browser, if you didn't know, yes, the Dreamcast can get online, which of course you probably figure that out since I'm holding the web browser in my hand. So the Dreamcast does have some online games. Phantasy Star Online, probably one of the most popular. Quake 3 Arena, I think even maybe the original Frogger might have some online capabilities. I think Bomberman Online, well, if it has the name online on it, I'm just gonna, take a wild stab in the dark and say you can get online with that game. Anyway, the web browser, I don't know, let me just say it. I'm just going to read off the back of the box. Optimized for SegaNet. Now, if my history lessons prove correct, SegaNet was an option for people who lived out in the sticks and didn't have any internet. So, if you got the web browser, you could call up Sega, say, hey, I want internet. They'll give you some dial-up, and boom, your Dreamcast is online. Get exclusive access to VMU files, movies, and more. The VMU, I'm not going to get one out right now, but I can show you another time. VMUs are the memory cards for the Dreamcast. They look like little tiny Game Boys. They actually slide into the top of the Dreamcast controller, and you can see the screen of the VMU through the controller. I don't know, it's really mind-blowing, and if Sega hadn't done that 15 years ago with the Dreamcast, everybody would just be like, that's incredible. I mean, imagine Sony doing it right now with the PS4. Oh, there's a little attachment. You can slide right into the DualShock 4 and there's a screen. No, there's not, but if there was, boom, everybody's mind would be blown. Explore the World Wide Web. Now, I can do that on my phone, but to do that on your Dreamcast, that is, pretty exciting, I guess. Send and receive email, chat with people around the world, your basic stuff you can do on a Dreamcast. I did try this once on my Dreamcast, not with this copy, of course, because this is still sealed in the package, but I did get my hands on another copy of a browser and hooked it up to my parents' dial-up internet, and yes, it is as bad as it sounds. I'd really like to try to get my Dreamcast on broadband sometime just to see how things work out. I do have a copy of Quake 3 Arena to try to get it on there, play some games online, see how well it acts. Just kind of things I'd like to do sometimes in my lifetime. See how fast the web browser is. Maybe it's really good, maybe it's really terrible, I don't know. I have tried a web browser for the original Nintendo DS, and it is terrible. Okay, I do not recommend it. Do not use the web browser on the DS. Even the web browser on the 3DS is still kind of, I'd rather use my phone, okay? If I can't get my hands on a laptop or tablet, I'd rather use my phone than use the DS. PSP has a web browser. Do not use it. Vita, on the other hand, Vita works very well. It works quite a bit like a tablet, but of course that has a lot more power than the 3DS. Anyway, I'm branching out way too much. All I wanted to show you today was my two finds at Stuff Etc. Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge, and Dreamcast Web Browser 2.0. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy it. Leave me some comments, and one thing I'd really like you to do, if you're watching this, since I love talking about video games, I definitely love to answer some questions. So leave me some comments with some questions, whether it be over Dreamcast stuff, what kind of game systems I have, if I have any favorites, anything, okay? If I don't like your question because it's way, 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 way off topic or way, way, way too impersonal, I won't answer it. But if you have a question about games, game systems, yeah, you get the idea. Just go ahead, ask away, and I'll answer it. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.